make a decision to forgive whether or not the other person has already asked for that forgiveness. The reason for that is because you have to prioritize your own spiritual disposition. You have to prioritize your emotional, spiritual, and psychological health. Hello, this is Father Sunny, and welcome to another dose of Holy. We are on our fourth day in the series on forgiveness. Today, I would like to talk about the importance of understanding that when we are trying to forgive, we are forgiving without being conditioned by the reality of the other person that's involved in the process, or in the necessity for forgiveness. So what this means is that, in fact, there are situations where we have to forgive someone even if that person has not asked for forgiveness. It is important to realize that we don't have to wait for that person to ask for forgiveness in order for us to forgive that person. Sometimes they are never going to be asking for forgiveness. Sometimes they don't even know that they have to ask for forgiveness, or sometimes they no longer are able to ask for forgiveness. Maybe because they have passed away, or they no longer remember it, or whatever it is. They don't even realize it, and so. As a person, as the one who is aggrieved by maybe an offense, or maybe a hurt that was caused by the other person, you have to make a decision to forgive whether or not the other person has already asked for that forgiveness. The reason for that is because you have to prioritize your own spiritual disposition. You have to prioritize your emotional, spiritual, and psychological health over the importance of that other person to ask for forgiveness. So the focus here is for healing to take place in yourself, for you are the one that has been aggrieved by it. So it's just healing is actually uh, you know healing is able to take place when we are able to forgive, because healing is not forgiveness necessarily, as healing might be emotional healing or psychological healing, but forgiveness is the act of the will. So it's very important for us to realize that we don't have to ask to require the forgiveness of the other person. You just have to realize that you need that forgiveness no matter, regardless of the other person. So you want to prioritize your own peace of mind, and therefore it doesn't matter if the other person is sorry or not. The important thing is that you want to move on from that situation, and you want to offer that forgiveness for your own peace of mind and for your own healing, right? So and also another thing that could happen is possibly when you ask for forgiveness, uh, when you're the one asking for that forgiveness, that other person might refuse to forgive. It is also in the same way that the you know the ability to ask for forgiveness, and the value of that forgiveness, or that desire to be forgiven, is not repudiated by the other person's refusal. So it seems very tricky, because it seems that most people these days are never going to be the first one to go and ask for forgiveness, or to forgive someone. Um, so I think we have to realize that forgiveness is not something that happens exterior to oneself. Forgiveness is something that's happening within your own person, and so you have to um, be able to make the forgiveness, to go through that process of forgiving, um, regardless of whoever else is involved in the pain. Huh? So it's very important. For example, in a way, Jesus was on the cross, and he called up to his heavenly Father and said, "Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do." At that very moment, he was even asking for forgiveness for the people who were right there, causing him pain, crucifying him, or torturing him there, right in the cross, leading through the entire journey into the cross. He was the one who was wronged in that situation. He was an innocent person who was being accused of crime, a heinous crime. And yet he said to his heavenly Father, "Forgive them, because they don't know what they're doing." So that is, for me, that is the cue. That is where you want to be able to draw some inspiration as far as forgiving, without having to require that the other person is seeking for forgiveness. Um, you know, it is of course ideal. It is of course ideal. Definitely ideal if both parties are involved in their desire to move forward, to be healed together, to maybe even re-establish a relationship. But it is not a requirement for one's decision to make the forgiveness. Perhaps another thing that we can say corollary to that, to this idea, is that when we try to forgive someone, it doesn't necessarily mean that that things have to go back to the way they were before. It doesn't require that either. At times, when we forgive someone, it is also possible that the better option to do is to completely move to a new direction in your own life, carrying with you the lessons of that situation, and yet, probably for all kinds of different intents and purposes, it is probably the best situation to not have to go back to that relationship as if nothing happened in the past. So that is a choice that you have to make when you are also evaluating, where do you move forward from the forgiveness that you have extended. So that's a very, very, very important aspect of the sort of the discernment that we have to do when we forgive someone. So what I'm trying to say, my dear friends, is that based on this principle that we established today, that that forgiveness is not conditioned by the other person. What it means is that the spirituality of forgiveness is rooted on the person who is extending the forgiveness. In other words, it can be an attitude that is developed in a person to be a forgiving kind of a person, to be a compassionate person, to be a merciful person. That can be an intuition, an internal disposition that one can have in all circumstances of life. As opposed to, there are some people that can't wait to get offended. That for every little thing they're offended. For every little thing they have something to say, so something negative to say, or for just it could be an innocent action. A person that doesn't have a positive, forgiving attitude, is that person will always start looking for faults against that person. So it's very, very important that when we embrace the spirituality of forgiveness, that we are disposed to forgive even before the offense happens. Because again, it's not about that person and that person offending you. It is really about you and your desire to remain at peace with yourself and with the universe. So this is the Dose of Holy today, and it is a very complex topic, and also I'm sure very experiential for many of us. And so I hope that you're able to learn a little bit and maybe grow some insight from these thoughts that I'm sharing with you regarding the spirituality of forgiveness. So this is Father Sunny. Until next time, here on the Dose of Holy, and I wish you all a blessing for happy, healthy, and holy lives. God bless you today, and till next time, and we'll see you again. Bye.